with a person that's very near and dear to my heart, one of the best engineers, I've ever worked with. This is Shri. Shri and I have been, working on so many projects together. And, the other day we were just, kind of setting up a new project together. And, we ran into this, situation where we want to set up pipelines, build pipelines for an ASP.NET project on GitHub. So we had to kind of fiddle around with, GitHub Actions. We wanted to see what GitHub Actions, basically what they look like. If they want to go and set up like a simple build in GitHub Actions, what would that look like? And, she came up with the idea. She said, hey, remember this, A.NET library that you built the other day? And it was very specific version for ADO, Microsoft ADO kind of pipelines. Why don't we, kind of add more models into this to make sure that, it also works with GitHub Actions, because GitHub Actions now has its own kind of flavor, like, right, Shri? It has its own flavor,
Yeah, yeah.
which is super different, So okay, so let's get started. Shri, do you want to tell people a little bit about yourself, who you are, so you're not just a rando just coming from the
Yeah,
outer
not
space?
the AI bot.
Not
Okay.
the anybody, you're a real person that I'm not talking to myself. I'm not talking to myself.
Hey, hi everyone. So this is Shri. I've been working with Hassan on many things. So I'm really excited to, contribute to this A.NET and see how I can learn from this. Yeah.
Absolutely. Just a little bit of history about Shri. Shri also leads an organization, like a nonprofit called Moms Code. It's a pretty cool initiative that she started to basically help moms who kind of got busy, had kids and all that kind of stuff, and they kind of let go of their careers and stuff like that. She's trying to bring them back in the game, and the way how she's doing it is that she has this really nice initiative here. You can see the website's momshoco.com. And basically she's been working with a lot of moms, 22 moms. She has 10 volunteers. It's a pretty cool thing that she got going on there. And I'm pretty sure you guys are going to hear a lot about it at some point in time. Okay, with that being said, now let's get to business. Let's just show people what we're really talking about here in terms of Azure build. I'm going to use OSSS as an example, just to show people. So OSSS for the longest of time have been the build of OSSS was attached to ADO. And now we want to upgrade that. We want to switch that over to GitHub Actions. So what do you think, Shri? We could start with this just to show people what things look like, and then we can start, kind of upgrading A.NET to kind of support that. Do you think that would be a good idea?
Yep,
Uh,
sure. Yeah.
Awesome. I'm going to increase the font in here just so people on their phones can actually see what I'm doing. Okay, here we go. And then, wow, 11 pull requests. Should I say that Shri's probably half of those? All of
Yep.
those. Okay, thanks,
hmm
Shri. I appreciate that. Okay, so again, case in point, Shri's a really great engineer, and she basically keeps things up to date and very, very passionate about what she does. And I really appreciate the people that kind of put their hearts and soul into working on things. Okay, the old way of doing the pipelines for GitHub is that you go and attach this to a whole kind of different website, like ADO. So you're going from OSSS on GitHub, and now you're jumping over to an entirely new platform, which is really yucky and icky. We don't want to do that stuff. That's not cool. What we want to do instead, we want to be able to go and say, no, I'm going to go to the settings of this project, right? And then I'm going to go to actions. And then from actions, oh God, I hope I remember this. So from actions, and then we have let's see here. Yeah, actions are right here. So there's actions and actions. Okay, so there's all these actions, and now I can go and create a new workflow, and I can use .NET. So set this up as a workflow, and then have this run for me. So these are all the little things. Of course, it's not .NET version it's 6.0.x, right? I think we put the other version though, Shri, the other day when we were working on
Yeah.
that .NET 6. Let's get the actual version here. So if you go to .NET Microsoft.com download, and then you pick up this version here, and then I'm going to put this here. And then there was another thing that we needed to do here to use a particular .NET library. So if you scroll to the right side here, you'll see something that says use .NET like this, I think, if I remember. Or is it use .NET, like spell it out? Nope. Use version. use SDK. Sometimes it works. Sometimes, yeah, there you go. Set up .NET Core SDK, and if you click on it, it'll say there's all these options that you can have. You know, and part of the options is to include the pre-release. They include the pre-release is what we need here because, you know, we're edgy people. We live on the edge. That's what we do. We like to run things. So this here is going to pick up my project and actually run the whole project. It will run the restore. It will run the test. It will run everything for me on this instance, right? And then I think also, I don't know if this is going to run fully because it needs a Windows machine to kind of spin up the, you know, the acceptance test, but let's give it a shot. What do you think about that? I'm going to go here and say start a commit and then commit a new file. It's going to put this .NET file in something called .github.workflows. And then now that this is in, this should trigger the build for me. So if I go into the actions, this is the build that I just created. So this guy now it's running on its own. And now let's see what it's doing. This is setup.net. Let's see if I can increase this. There you go. It's going to try to pick up. So this is done, right? So this is, did it pick up the .NET 6 here? Let's see. Yes, it did, I think. And then let's see here. This is restore dependencies. So this .NET restore. Let's see here. So it's much better now because you get to see the progress all in GitHub. You don't have to go anywhere. It's much, much more advanced and much, you know, cleaner. I like clean things. I like to make things clean, you know, with these capabilities here. So this is all good. Let's just wait for this to build the project. This is, of course, a huge project. So we're really putting it to test here and seeing the, you know, how far it can go. Here we go. This is the build. Wow, it did, you know, it shouldn't take that long, Shrey. I wonder how many cores does this system has. Okay, here's the tests. Total 1 test files matched. No XML encryptor. And here's a bunch of failing tests. I'm assuming these are acceptance tests. There you go. Like a whole bunch of them. Wow. I think this project has almost 1,000 something tests in it. Anyway, so let's see if it can just summarize the test result for us. That would be nice. If I go all the way to the bottom of the log here. So let's see. So see 1,500 tests, and then these ones failed because the end-to-end testing is dependent on having an actual SQL server locally on your machine, you know, so you can actually hit that SQL server. Now that we chose Ubuntu Linux, you know, it's not going to give us that kind of flexibility. But I think, you know, how we can fix this really is that if we go into the file that we just created, which is the GitHub workflows.NET YAML, and if I go here and change, maybe if we change this to Windows 19, is that how it is?
2019? Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I hope that works. Let's see. 2019 usually comes in with a bunch of things that would hopefully make this work. Let's give it another shot. Either way, this is outside of the topic of this, but I just wanted to show people why we're doing this. We're simplifying this. We're making
Just
this.
wanted to check if it is Windows 2019 or just Windows 2019.
I'm pretty sure there's a hyphen there. Pretty sure, but let's see.
Yep.
Required cannot find. So I think it's hyphen. Let's go back here and see if that works. Let's change this. Is it hyphen 2019?
Mm-hmm.
Yikes. Okay, let's do that. Commit straight into GitHub, and then let's see here if I can go to actions. Okay, so this one is queued. I can cancel the old one, can I? Yeah, cancel run. Perfect. So you see everything now is inside GitHub. Isn't that cool? Like you want to see the build, you want to see everything attached to the whole progress. It's all within GitHub. Okay, it found the Windows. It found it. Operating system, virtual environment provisioner. Now I hope that this Windows 2019 also has the SQL Server in it. As far as I remember, there was a build instance that I had that actually had that in it, but we'll see, because it would be fun to kind of run both acceptance tests and unit tests at the same time on the unit test. Otherwise, we're just going to have to specify what happened. Yeah, this is all good. This is all good news. Otherwise, we're going to have to just target specifically the unit test,
specific test project.
which is also still counterproductive for what we're really trying to do in terms of we really want the PR to get blocked if the acceptance tests are not going. Like I've seen some incidents where people are like, people just get kind of lazy. They go and say, you know what, I don't really have to do that, and we don't really want to do that. We want to make sure that these and sometimes you don't notice. Like I've seen some people that would just run the test that they're working on and not the rest of the tests and just
Yeah,
wait.
and I think that also adds value that if the tests are, smart enough to run it quicker rather than taking a long time, efficient tests can be faster than later.
Right,
Yeah.
right, exactly. Okay, let's see. Let's see here. So this guy is doing restore, right? I don't think it got stuck. So anyway, while this guy is working, what we really want to do here is that a while back, I put together a library called ADotNet, ADotNet. And this library, basically, its job is to go and do, eliminate the uncertainty having to learn a new language like YAML, right? Because even like whether you're using it within ADO or using it on GitHub, every other build pipeline have their own flavor of YAML, which is nonsense because now you have to learn not just the language, but also learn the syntax that match this language, right? For instance, in here, it's using like specific JSON kind of camel case kind of style. It says feeds to use. In GitHub, it would say feeds -to -use, which is not a good thing. So instead of that, we kind of abstracted away, the need to learn YAML with the existing skill set that people already have with learning C#. So if you know C#, you can just go and say new ASP.NET pipeline. And from that ASP.NET pipeline, you can just go ahead and say triggering branches. What are the branches that you care about? What's the virtual machines pool that you care about? Configurations, what are the tasks? And you can start adding in tasks in here. And it will pick up that C# code that you have in here. And it'll basically turn it into YAML that you can use in your ADO. And if you look at ADO, boom, you have the entire pipelines, test, publish. Why are we doing that? What's the point of doing something like this? The point here is that, first of all, normally pipelines, you only have a handful of people with permissions to modify the pipeline, right? You want to make sure that your pipeline is secure, so you only hand it out to a bunch. In some organizations, some people will say, okay, these particular individuals, maybe the team lead or whoever, has the access to the pipeline, and the rest of the team are just going to be using it, right? That's number one. We want to kind of democratize the creation of all the single aspects of building software. From the moment you're writing the test and writing the code to the moment you're deploying it, I want you to control building the infrastructure. I want you to control building the pipelines and the build pipelines, testing pipelines. The team should be engaged in all different ways in being able to basically build the entire software, including the provisioning. Otherwise, there will always be people who have access to certain aspects of building software, and other people who can see the entire picture, which is not cool. That's not what I'm going for here. So I built ADotNet, sorry, not ADO. That's a little bit of a bigger project. ADotNet, and ADotNet is basically just that. It allows anybody on the team to create a pull request and say, hey, I think we can add this new task that basically says use .NET 6, and I want to target this particular version. So every time someone is making this change, they're creating pull requests. It's not something that's going on behind the scene where people are just changing fields in through the UI. It's actually a change that is being monitored, reviewed by the team, and approved by the team. Again, the democratization of every single aspect of the software build pipeline. All right. What Shri and I are going to be doing, though, this nice file, I'm pretty sure this one failed, but this nice little file that got generated for us, I don't want anyone to go and write this by hand. And I don't want anyone to go and rely on some existing UI tool, to kind of generate this for us, because there's still a lot of uncertainties in here that we're not sure about. Instead, we want to be able to go and say, in C#, write in the project that you want, the steps that you want to run on, and let us kind of translate that C# into YAML that will fit in your GitHub or ADO, whatever the case may be. Is that right, Shri? Is that what we're trying to do here?
Yep. Just learn one thing and that will do everything for you.
Exactly. Just, use .NET, and, if you're already good with C#, you don't have to learn anything else. And also I discovered that it kind of helps the entire team in general to kind of, stay within the skill set. Oh, look that, it passed. So the Windows machine does have SQL on it. Isn't that cool? That's
Good.
pretty neat. That's really neat. So if I go to actions here, yeah, there it is. Something for the people that never used GitHub Actions. If you go up in here, you can copy. I was just telling Shri about this yesterday. Create status page. So you can copy the status page. You can select whatever type you want to select the status page for whatever event you want to do. Copy that status page. Go back to OSSS. And on the front here, instead of doing Azure pipelines, which is this build status here, instead we're just going to put in this guy. So now what's showing is .NET passing in here. That basically shows that this is the actual build that's going on, and that's all good. That's all pretty good. Okay. So I hope people understand now. I hope you guys understand, watching this, I hope you understand you can build this. So now, of course, what ADotNet library is doing, it's generating YAML for ADO, meaning that if I go and pick this up and put it in GitHub Actions, this is not going to work. This is going to fail. Why is it going to fail? Because you see, like for instance, you see include preview versions is true. If you go to GitHub Actions, the syntax here is very different. Look at this one. It says include dash pre-release. The language itself is very different. But because we created C# as a separator between YAML and the person and the engineers, it doesn't matter because we're going to give it that kind of capability. All right, Shri, here's a suggestion for you. Or maybe you do have the suggestion. We can start with ADotNet in here. And we can start creating new models for, so if I go to ADO here, I think it's all the magic is happening in the models area in here, right? So we can we can basically go here and say, instead of, this is the exceptions for the dependency. Okay, perfect. So this is ASP.NETs. What do you think about creating a new one, a new folder here? And the new folder will be like GitHub, or GitHub Actions. So there will be one called ADO pipelines and then GitHub Actions. Do you have this code already pulled down?
Yes. Yep.
All right. Let's start with you. Let's go there. Let's create a PR and let's start from there. So let's start with a bunch of failing tests, or I can kick it off however way you want, Shri. Go ahead.
Yep. I will go ahead and share my screen.
Go to town. Let's make it happen.
Let me know if it's good enough.
Yes. Zoom in just tiny bit. So if instead of 100%, go 125. So do control and then scroll in. Yeah, there you go. Much better, Shri. Thank you so much. Go ahead.
Okay, awesome. So here, let's go with the branch. Shri, this is gonna be GitHub Actions.
Oh, start with models. So models dash GitHub Actions. Because we're doing models, right? That's very much a nice.
Okay. So now we will refactor and move them across, right?
Yes.
So here, let's go add a folder and we say ADO.
ADO pipelines. So that's basically the platform, right? So
And then
ADO
we move both of them underneath.
No, the actions should still be like, does the action have anything to do with ASP.NET specifically? If you expand the actions, ASP.NET pipeline, build configuration, build task. No, they keep those at the top. I think these are fine. I think. Yeah.
Okay. So the GitHub that we want to have, are we going to specify that it's going to be tied up with GitHub?
Yeah. So the ASP.NETs, move that folder inside ADO pipeline, that whole folder in.
Yeah.
We're gonna have to fix the namespace.
Even the exceptions, right? Because these are again
because it
tied up.
says ADO. That's right. Yeah, go for it. Yeah.
Yep. Okay.
The thing about Visual Studio here is that it's not gonna change the namespace for you.
Yep. Yep.
So we could start with, so anywhere it says pipelines.ASP.NETs, you can replace that with pipelines dot, I think, ADO pipelines.ASP.NETs. ADO pipelines. Yes, perfect, Shri. Let's
Okay.
go.
In the
Place
case.
all. Yeah. Ooh, 54 changes. Now let's see. I wonder if it would just be a dream if you could just build and everything would just work. Let's see. It makes sense that it doesn't need that now. Warning. Okay, warnings are okay.
Yep.
Yay! All right. All right.
Yep. It's good now. So
That's
just
one
adding
commit
it
just
here.
on its own. Yeah, go ahead.
Yeah. So
By
we
the
have
way, this
ADO
is,
pipelines. Yeah. We move them.
yeah, just be careful because we're gonna have, when we release this, and I'm gonna show you how to release this at some point in these sessions. When we release this, we're gonna have to release it as a brand new version because that's a breaking change. They call this a breaking change because, you know, the people that will upgrade the version is gonna break their systems because they are referencing an older namespace. You know what I mean? So if
Yep.
we are now on version 1 point whatever, it's gonna have to be version 2 point something.
Yeah. Okay.
All right.
Okay. So now we're going to get started on GitHub.
Yeah, GitHub pipelines.
GitHub pipelines.
Yeah,
Okay.
that's right.
And so here it's again going to be ASP.NET being our action, right?
Yes, so we're gonna need ASP.NETs in here. Yes, that's right.
Okay.
Actually, you know, to think about it, when we built that pipeline, it just said .NET, right? It didn't care whether it's ASP.NET or not, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
But we might need, just call it .NETs, if that's what they choose to call it. Let's call it
Keep it
.NETs.
consistent.
Yeah. Okay. .NETs. And let me send you here the YAML file that I have in the YAML file that we have in the in OSSS, the YAML file that I just created for the workflows.
Mhm.
Let's pick up that YAML file and let's start kind of doing the thing. Okay, so I'm sending you this right now. Here you go. Now people that are watching us can't see this, but you can put these like in a comment so we can discuss it, or put it in a file. Put it like in a Visual Studio Code file, and we could just start discussing how this works. What do you think?
Sure. Yep. So let me add it to any type, right? It's
Oh,
good to
no.
any.
Just put it in a different file completely outside of Visual Studio, and let's just look at it and see what, you know, we can make of it. Like if you open up a notepad and basically just share that notepad, then we could just basically discuss.
Sure. Yep.
All right. Okay, so that's the thing that we need to do. This branches guy basically is a list. We know that, right? Um, why the screen is flickering for some reason? Do you have Visual Studio Code on your machine?
Yeah.
Okay, let's open them up. Let's open this up because it's flickering when you're sharing the screen. It looks
Yeah. It's
weird.
not allowing me to type as well.
Yikes. Okay, so Microsoft Teams is conflicting with Notepad. Okay,
Yeah.
we get it.
Maybe if you want to take your screen share for that moment.
Yeah, sure. Yeah, let's do it from here. Okay, let's do it this way. So here's what I have here, Shri. This is this guy here. I'm gonna copy that real quick. Let me open up Visual Studio Code. Let's see. Visual Studio Code. Let me open that up. You're still getting used to this Windows Windows 11. See how that one works out. Or is it VS Code actually? Okay, here's VS Code, and let me take the screen over to this. Can you see VS Code by any chance, Shri?
Yeah, I can.
Okay, perfect. Let's create in a new file here. Okay, new file. And then let's close this guy. Okay, and this is that. Okay, so here's what I have here. Love how it just detected immediately what we're working with here.
Mm-hmm.
It's great. Okay, so here's the deal. We have a name that's easy. You know, if we're building a model, you know, this is a string, it gets into a name, that's easy. No problem there. So it's a string, simple. And then we have this on, and then there's jobs, right? So on will give us to start building once a merge. I'm assuming this is a merge, a direct push that happens towards master, or pull request that's opened against master. And this is a list in here. So I know this is list of string. And this one here is also a list of string. I know that. And then this one then will be the containerizer of that. So this is going to be its own model, something called pull requests. So this is pull requests like this, and then we can basically do the same thing in here. It will be push. Guess it's not pull request, it's just push. Okay, fine. Pull request. So when you open a pull request under that, so this is one model, and under that model there is another, you know, property that's called branches, and this branch is basically a list of strings. And all of this is under on. And on, like, my hope here is to basically have the C# kind of, our C# models, they may be interpreted as on when it gets translated into YAML, but the model itself needs to be something that a person can understand. This is not intuitive when you say on. On what, right? It doesn't make any sense, right? Maybe I can understand this, but I can't understand this. This one is weird, right? So what would be a good name for this? Like in here, it's basically saying on push, on pull requests. Do we just say events? Should we just call it like events?
Yeah,
I think
if we
I
say
think
actions, then it might be conflicting with Git actions. So events is kind of generic than actions.
yeah. So we can even call it on events. What do you think?
Yeah.
Or events alone is fine. What do you think?
I would say on event is better because on there's some connection that they can make out.
Sure. And that basically means this on events. I don't think this is a, so this here is an expression of lists. This here is a list. Every time you do a dash like this, that's basically a list of things, right? In here, this is not a list presentation, I don't think. Okay, so let's start with this one. Let's just start with, you know, the pipeline, GitHub pipeline. It's going to have a name and it's going to have events. And events is going to have push and pull request, and both of these are going to have lists in it. Let's see what that looks like. It's going to be very interesting to see how that one pans out. You have it already? Okay, so now you have GitHub pipelines. Now, what do we want to do? We want to basically build the task, right? So if you expand this ADO pipeline, you'll see like in the ASP.NET, there is something called ASP.NET pipeline. Do you see that guy? If you open up that guy, that literally tells you like, you know, when we're generating on our side, we used to say, okay, here's the trigger, here's the pool, here's the variables that I want to pass in, and here's the steps, right? In our case, it's going to be a little bit different. You know, we're going to need to create something called, instead of ASP.NET pipeline, just say GitHub pipeline. Yeah, and we can start with something as simple as name. So you basically want to make this a public class, and then you want to go and say, I want to set this as a name. Property, name, and it's a string. All good and dandy. Now, how do we know that this is going to be generated right? You see this console application that we have at the top.
Yeah.
In this console application, try to leverage that for some of the work there. So double click on that guy and then remove all of this test and just try, instead of A.NET client, instead of ASP.NET pipeline, try GitHub pipeline.
So remove all the code.
Just minimize it. Just what you did is fine. Yeah.
So this is gonna be my
GitHub.
GitHub pipeline.
Nice. Yep. So now if you throw that GitHub pipeline into this, instead of ASP.NET pipeline, and try to kind of point the generated file towards a local file on your machine, you know, it'll basically show you what that would look like, basically. Actually, in fact, this serialize and write file, what does it return? This serialize and write file, does it return a string? Ah, bad. Okay, just pass in GitHub pipeline in there and see what happens. In fact, actually, you know, even better, if you actually just keep going. Sorry, I have just 50,000 thoughts in my head. Yeah, let's call this GitHub pipeline and see. Maybe you can put it just right at the, you can remove the dot dot so you don't have to navigate through folders. I'll just throw this. Yeah, take even the dot slash. You don't even need the dot slash.
Okay.
Yeah, run
Just in the
this
same
guy.
folder.
Yeah, run this program. Just be careful because you're pointing to the library right now. So you're gonna have to kind of, yeah, go ahead.
Okay.
All right. Build started.
The execution completed.
Nice.
So fetching up the folder.
Now, if you right click on your console project and do go to location, this, yeah, go to open folder in File Explorer all the way at the bottom. Okay, now you're outside of the screen, so you want to probably share whatever comes out of this. There should be a file called GitHub pipelines.yaml. When you find that, just let me know.
Yep. Okay. Sharing it out.
Okay, awesome. Yep, it works, right? So that means let's go back to your code and just do something like, let's give it a name. You know, let's go and give it a name that is, you know, let's just say .NET or just call it build or whatever you want to call it. So you see this GitHub pipeline. No, go back to where you were. The only difference is that in that GitHub pipeline, open up a squiggly brackets instead of just closing it, closing the GitHub pipeline object, and basically add in a name in there. So instead of these parentheses, just open and close squiggly brackets. You're in the right place. And then in there, just type in name and just call it whatever you want. Nice. Great. Now run again and let's see if this would generate the file with a name that's called GitHub. And more importantly, I wonder if it's gonna put it between two parentheses, between double quote. Ooh, look at that. So it's going, right?
Yeah.
All right, cool. Now we can basically continue from there and build the events, which will translate to what you call on, right? Let's do it.
Okay. So the next one that we want is gonna be
Events.
but then it's gonna be the custom model, right?
Yes.
Yeah. So we want to call on events.
Yes.
And then let's go with the model
Yes.
on
Why don't you
event.
call the model event? Sorry, why don't you call the model events and call the property on events?
Okay, got it. So Okay.
So what do we have? We have push event. So
So
that's
push.
its own model too. It's called push event.
So
And
it's gonna
uh-huh,
be push event.
and the name of it is just going to be push. And the
Push.
other one is pull request event.
Pull request event.
Nice, Shri. Yep.
And this is gonna be pull
Request.
request.
Yep.
Okay, now let's go with the push event.
This is fun, right? I think it's
Yeah,
fun. Yeah. And people will never, ever, ever have to deal with YAML again.
okay, this is gonna be list of string, and we say branches. What was the
Yeah, the for the push it's branches, and for the pull request it's also branches. Yep. Yep, you're doing just fine.
okay, so going back here, pull request event.
Yep. Now the question is, I wonder if it's gonna generate this right. We'll see.
Okay.
Now here's the deal. So you called it pull request, but it needs to be pull underscore request. So go into something like configuration variables in the yep, not this one. Let's see, maybe click on any other file. I know that there is a bunch in here where I say generated as. There you go, the alias, right?
Mhm.
So try to set up the alias. So type in YAML member, and then the alias will be this pull underscore requests.
That's going to be on the event, right?
On the event, yeah.
Okay.
So the push is fine, but the pull request is the one that it
Member?
yeah. You know how when you say JSON property and you
Mm-hmm.
basically go and say, the JSON needs to be mapped from C# code that says underscore Shri, not dash, underscore.
Oh,
Yep. Now pull in the
is it
dependencies.
plural or singular?
It's singular. And why, I don't know. It's YAML. Who knows? But you
Okay.
see, the wrapping that we're doing gives us that kind of flexibility and liberty to go and name it whatever we want. Now, okay, is there any missing things? Like if you go all the way back to GitHub pipeline,
On
okay, you have on events. Do we have this on events? Event.
events, and
Yes.
then this is going to be on event.
Now on events should be just serialized to on. That's all. It's just called on.
Okay.
Yeah, look at you, expert. Yep, on.
On.
Yep, that's it. Yep.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Let's run a test. Go back to that program CS and let's see if we just can add more things in there. So take a comma and then just say on events. Look how easy this is. Nice.
On events
Yep. And
equals
then new
this is
events.
going to be
No events, right? You don't need the array.
yeah, it's a singular one, and then this is going to be the
Do
first one that we
yeah, do
put.
control space. There you go.
Okay. Okay, the
All
first
right.
one was push, right?
Yes.
And then it's gonna be new push event,
Nice. Very
and
nice.
it doesn't take anything. Okay.
Oh, just no, it does though. It takes branches, but you need to kind of open up the
Oh yeah.
squigglies
Mm-hmm.
and
And
then
then
inside
control
that,
space
yeah,
branches
you need to
equal.
create a new list. You need to create a new list because it
Okay.
takes multiple branches. My concern is it gonna make it like dotted kind of thing? Okay, you got it. All right, now let's do for the pull request as well. This is fun. Do it.
Mm, okay. So the event push is done. Okay. Then it's gonna be pull request, new
Nice.
pull request, and this is also gonna work on
I
branches.
hope so. Oh, did you not do branches for it?
Maybe I did.
Oh,
Branch
it's pull
pull
request
request
event.
event.
Yeah.
where's the event and branches? So even here we will go with master for now,
Yep,
right?
yep. Let's generate that guy. Let's see how that guy works.
Okay.
Nice.
Okay. Ta-da.
Let's
Okay.
see. Uh-huh.
I'm gonna share. Here we are.
No, it's bad. See, instead of master, see, it translated master into dots. All of it is correct except for the master. So instead of a list, try an array, just an array of strings, and hopefully that would be better.
Okay.
Let me just clarify, Shri. I'm gonna take your screen for a sec.
Sure, sure.
Look what it did here. It did like an array. Do you see this?
Oh, yeah.
So I'm hoping that when you make it as an array, it will actually adhere to that. Let's try it. Let's see. Your turn.
Okay. Going back to our events where we have our push event, and here
Array.
instead of list.
Gosh, I really hope that works. Otherwise. All right, let's see.
And then the next one is this.
Nice.
And here what we see is
Just a string array. But the point here is that YAML member attribute. So this is it. This is it, Shri. We just want to be able to, I think we found it, like the inline array. You know, what would make this a lot simpler though, is that if I go into GitHub, let's screw around with GitHub a little bit and see if they even
if he
care.
accepts, yeah.
Yeah, if they do, then I think I'm still gonna have to look it up because it's me. But let's just
Yeah.
see if that's the case. So branches, master, branches.
No syntax error.
I'm just gonna, yeah, it's really bad. It's really bad, and it doesn't tell you whether it's right or wrong. You
Until it
just
creates. Mhm.
Yeah, you go out there and push it and play your luck, see what it does. Okay, let's see if that works. Hopefully it'll blow up like from the first minute. Run actions. What? I think it's working. Let's see here. Operating system, virtual environment, GitHub token, prepare, all required, chicken, repository. Does it say in here what branch it's targeting? Somehow? I don't think it is, but it's working. So I guess I'm hoping that you can express a list this way or any other way. I'm hoping. And if that's the case, I think we should be fine here. Shri,
You can still
sorry.
proceed with that.
Sorry about that, Shri. Okay, back to you. Let's finish it.
Okay.
Actually, it's gonna be a little bit of steps. So we're still gonna have to do the uses in terms of checkout actions and then the name uses. Let's finish up the tasks tomorrow. What do you think about that? The steps. What do you think about that?
Sure, yeah.
So right now, by far, you have a pretty good, you get the idea, right? Like you finished that part here today. Right? The rest of this is really easy. This one here is an object, and this one here is a list of steps. Now
Yep.
let's just go through these real quick just to make sure that we're looking at the right thing. So this is here steps uses. So that's a special step that just says uses. And then there's name. Okay, okay. So every task can have a name and it can have uses. And uses basically says which version of GitHub action it's using.
But then uses is again nested with the task itself, right?
You mean this?
Line 18, yeah.
No. This is not nested under this. This is its own thing.
Okay, so 16 -users is a standalone property. And then -name.
Not property. It's a standalone task that has one property on it that's called uses.
Okay.
I know it's bending minds. Like look at this one. It has name and uses, and they're all within this. Like this is an object. It's fun. This is why I'm saying we don't need to use that. Anyway, I think what we can do tomorrow is just finish the rest of these and actually test it. What do you think about that? You want to do
Yeah,
that tomorrow?
sure.
Sounds good. Thank you so much, Sri. Thanks for the people that will watch this. I appreciate the patience, and I want to document the progress in this. This is really good stuff. Thank you, Sri. Let's connect again tomorrow.